Just one big joke. It's a fucked up world. Here we are in. I ain't going nowhere.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Reason Reborn, episode 28. I'm not on camera because my apartment is more of a wreck than it normally is. Normally, I'm not afraid to show you how disgusting I am as a human being, but I'm like doing spring cleaning and I'm throwing away stuff and sorting things, and yeah, it's just too much for even me, which is saying something. But you all are able to swoon to the ladies' mocha chocolate delight, Cardiacsumo. Say what's up to the people, sir.
What is up, ladies in particular, I guess?
I'm trying to get you married before.
Is that what's happening?
30s, yeah.
Bruh.
That's the thing. This is all for you. This is your, this is your resume.
Is that my deadline? Like, if I don't get married by 30, I have to
It's very funny because I only brought that up because I knew someone who had that. Of course, they're not married. They're closer to my age still, and they're not married yet. But their whole push was, I got to be married by 30. And I was just like, why? Like, I don't know. I just feel like if I'm not married by 30, I'm not accomplished. Like, I don't know if that works right, because you can just marry somebody and end up in a fucked up relationship, but you accomplished that goal. So like, okay.
Sure. Well, I guess that's the deal. Either married by 30 or dead. Gonna have to commit some seppuku or some shit and just... Because I dishonored myself and my family.
Sure. Whatever. But of course there's a lot going on as usual. Let's get rid of the nonsense first. The whole aftermath. I wouldn't say it's aftermath because he's still trying to tweet plus his poor little heart of Kanye West and his whole fiasco with the slavery thing and all of that. As we now are in the past the whole bullshit phase of this, what do you reflect on his tirade? What's your reflections on this?
So I've largely tried to ignore that shit because, like, unlike a lot of people, apparently, I never thought Kanye was a genius. I hate when people say that shit. Kanye is a genius, but
it's the most overrated. It's one of the most overrated terms used for artists and of any.
But even him in particular, like, it's almost a given that people will say that. It's like when you want to disagree with or you want to make a point about gun laws. People always have to start off with, I'm all for the Second Amendment or whatever. There's that little disclaimer before they start on their real point. The same thing with Kanye. It's like, he's a genius, but, and I'm like, well, you need to stop that whole sentence right there. What do you mean he's a fucking genius? You need to chill. No, he's not.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that assumption of geniusness with this fucking dude.
I guess it's attributed to the fact that he is able to do something well that they're not able to do. And I don't understand why that makes you a genius to a lot of people. Like, why that makes you super extraordinary if you're able to create something that they can't. It's like, no, they're just more attuned to that. Now, there are some people who are creative who do some things that, like, even other artists will be like, yeah, that man's a genius. I've never seen anything like this. You get that, but the fuck? He makes beats and he poorly rhymes. Yes, I said it. He poorly rhymes. He's an average rhymer.
I guess that's what I was thinking when people say that. It's like, you can claim somebody's a musical genius, I guess, which should only have weight in the musical world. But I mean, some people might not like me saying this, but I feel like the idea that he's a musical genius is questionable too.
Yeah, especially since in recent years, a lot of people don't realize this, but I want to say since his second album, he's been kind of farming out his production to this guy named DJ Toombs, who he'll pretty much make the hooks or things like that. And then it's kind of like the Dr. Dre thing that people like forget from back in the day. It's like after the first Chronic album, Dr. Dre was kind of a beat minor, for lack of a better term, I should say. Whereas he had the Hitmen, his group of people who were producers, and they would create the loops and all of that, and then he would pretty much mix and master them to the final finished product. So it's like, yeah, you didn't even find that break or you didn't even find that beat, but you were able to clean it up to create a certain sound. So like, you're just doing half the work now. You know, it's like, okay. And there's something to be said by you being able to be a good mixer, because from what I know from music people, that's why engineers are so important to music, is that they are the guys who kind of, you know, clean up the things and all of that. So if you're really good at the mixing and the mastering, then you know, you're on to something. But still, it's like,
I mean, whatever talent you have, you know, much props for it. I just, you know, before I get to the main point of that, I just wanted to address this whole "he's a genius" thing that I feel like people just say without really thinking about it. Or at least I'm gonna need to hear a better argument for why the fuck he's a genius, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that would help, because I think he's super talented, but he's just not, like, he didn't reinvent the wheel, basically.
Sure. So, trying to remember all the facets of this tirade, things like slavery was a choice, which even if you look past just how horrendous that statement sounds to his, I was going to say his point, but what was his point really? That I guess, given the numbers of Black people, that they should have been able to rise up against that?
That's the thing. It makes no sense, because even if okay, here's a couple of things about that comment that really, really bothers me. One, nobody necessarily choose to be held in captivity. The idea of slavery negates that. It's not like you just decide, you know what, I will. I mean, it's not like indentured servitude. There was a difference. Not like I contractually obligated myself to work for you for a set amount of, you know, years, and then at the end of this agreement we part ways and I end up profiting from this. So no, it's, they came, they subjugated you, you know, guns, whips, knives, whatever, and they kept you in those conditions through the threat of violence and psychological you know, abuse. So how is that a choice? They're doing this purposely.
I mean, if you make it incredibly simplistic, I guess I could see that point where you just ignore the psychological and sociological underpinnings of that, where you just ignore the superior technology and force of the oppressors in that case. I guess it's sort of like when people say, you know, a battered woman is just making the choice. I mean, exactly. It's a gross oversimplification of what happened there. But more to the point, it's actually not true anyway. There were revolts and people who fled and fought off slave owners and shit. That happened in like every state. So it's not even true that they just like sat there and took it.
And that's part of like why his argument is so stupid, because he mentions Harriet Tubman and trying to say like it's just a reminder of slavery. It shouldn't be looked as a reminder of slavery, but as a reminder of, yo, what you just said about slavery being a choice, clearly not everybody chose to be a slave and wanted to be a slave, because people like Harriet Tubman and others who conducted the Underground Railroad and other revolts, Nat Turner, things like that, they tried to fight this shit. The problem is, it's, you know, I guess it's the knife to a gunfight thing. If I got a gun and you got a knife, 9 times out of 10, you're going to take me out first. So when we're trying to like run as slaves, trying to revolt as slaves with like, you know, our work tools, things like that, they have guns, whips, you know, and all of that. They have the might of the government backing them. It's like with the Nat Turner thing. The government went after Nat Turner. They did not like just say, yo, I mean, I can't blame him because I wouldn't want to be a slave too. No, the government was like, nope, you're breaking the law. We got to get you because this is legal.
You know, before that divide between the North and the South on this issue, what the fuck were they going to do? Where were they going to go? I mean, were they going to swim back to Africa? But by that point, I'm sure they didn't. Like, they were born, a lot of them, in America at that point. They didn't speak. You know, I'm fucking around being facetious at this point, but let's say somehow they rebelled and like left the country and went to Africa or some shit. Could they fit in? I'm sorry. Maybe that is too much of a joking argument.
I get what you mean, because like now you have to reacclimate yourself to the culture and things like that. And maybe like you coming from America, having, you know, been a slave here and having some of that culture put upon you, they might not want you there. You know what I mean? I mean, it sounds harsh, but they might not like want you there with your American ideas. Right. And you trying to like possibly change the way we think. It's like I've always said this in that African Americans are kind of like one of the most unique races, because we weren't brought here willingly. We weren't necessarily want to be here outside of being, you know, livestock. So yeah, we're Americans, but by just circumstance, not because we chose. Like you could have like most Asian American, most Latino Americans, they've showed their, you know, shit. The entire white population of America, they chose to come here. They weren't brought here for a certain purpose that didn't benefit them. And then once like we got our quote unquote freedom, it's like now what are you? It's like we're a very weird culture, because our culture started from being slaves and moved to having to be accepted as not being livestock anymore. And that's why I think like we have a lot of the hard divide and hard issues that we have in this country, because our place wasn't meant to be. We weren't meant to be here necessarily, and we're still, for some reason, still fighting to find our place. In my mind,
I mean, sure, it's something I've said about African American culture that is, if not unique, pretty rare among cultures in the world. It's that it is a culture pretty much born of slavery. You know, the point I was making when I said it's not that they can go back to Africa is that after a few generations, they are just a product of American slavery. So it's not like, yeah, I'm sure you see it with a lot of Black people today. It's not like they really have any true ties to any African culture or anything like that, unless they're either directly from or like a generation removed from Africa. There's no connection there. So it is an isolated culture in and of itself. But on the Kanye point again, I wanted to address a couple of his points seriously, because they are serious ideas, albeit seriously stupid ones, but they are statements and they can be addressed objectively with facts. Well, I can't remember what he was trying to call himself.
Free thinker.
Was that the phrase? Yeah, it's
that's the phrase, and it's one of the phrases I hate most. He stole that from Candace Owens, by the way.
If you're ever gonna steal something from somebody, this weird idiocy masquerading as intellectualism is insane. I mean, you just have this group of people around who submit to the stupidest ideas. Again, they try to make themselves sound and seem like intellectuals of some kind, but they clearly have no taste for objective reasoning of any kind. When they say free thinking, what I think they're trying to get at is free from more mainstream thoughts.
And I don't think that's what they're doing.
I mean, that's the most charitable way I can see that, because I don't know what it is you think you are free of. It's an odd idea to parse, this notion of him being a free thinker, but you're not even a thinker. You're not thinking at all.
Exactly.
You could not reach most of the conclusions you reach with any real thought.
No, and it's funny because I did a long ass thread today while I was at work about this, and how like the whole free thinker thing to me is just absurd because we all are free to think what we want to. um, it's just that's just the way the human mind itself works, let alone like regardless of societal laws, rules, whatever you want to frame it as. You can think whatever you want. Just like I say with the First Amendment thing, like, yeah, you can say what you want, but both things, there's fucking consequences to what you do. And that's the thing that bothers me about people who use stuff like free thinker or woke or whatever other platitude they want to put to themselves when it's funny because I feel like it only really comes out when they say something and it gets checked and then they're like they have no other like recourse but to just say, well, I'm just a free thinker or I'm just woke and you're not and you're just a slave to this and and shit like that. It's because that's their shield because they really once the heat start coming, it's like you said, they're not really thinking. And if they were thinking, they would have realized, this might be disputed. And when it's disputed, they don't know how to react other than to say, well, you're just mad because you're not a free thinker, or you're not as woke as I, and stuff like that. And it's like shield, because clearly if I say I'm a free thinker and you're not, that clearly puts me to some type of upper echelon of human being or something like that. Like, I really hate how people always say, that's why I hate the term woke. I hate free thinker and all that. 'Cause like, I really feel like y'all don't even know what you're using the term for and how to use it. Like it's just a weird, fucked up shield for your fucking nonsense. You just want to be right. That's all I say. It's like you just want to be right, and when you're disproven, you have no resort but to say, "Well, I'm just free thinking."
I mean, I will say, as far as people being free to think what they wish, certainly, to the most point. There are ideas that become increasingly popular in a culture or society, though, and
yeah,
it's not just that there are social pressures to not think those; it's that sometimes you're not really presented with other ideas, especially depending on the context. So, say you grew up in a largely religious family or something. America is not really all that polite to talk about religion. So, I've talked to people who are religious about religious ideas, and you can tell they never really had the opportunity to think in any way in conflict with their religion because they've never really been exposed to certain ideas. So I do agree with you that you can think whatever you want and you've always been able to. I think there are challenges in a society or in a given culture that can harm that. So I would think that the phrase free thinker could make sense, but never when it's used by like Kanye West, because again, I don't know what he means when he says that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I don't know if he felt like he was being. Let's be honest. If you're a celebrity, you kind of like fit the mold of quote unquote free thinker because people will listen to what you say. You have a level of influence and a right to get away with a lot more things than other people do. So I don't know how he could say that he's just becoming a free thinker. He's never been arrested for what he thought or felt. He's always be this like, why now all of a sudden like you got to justify and validate yourself with the free thinker thing? You've always said a bunch of bullshit. We know you say bullshit, but the one bullshit that you said that can be like disputed wholeheartedly, all of a sudden now I'm a free thinker. It's like
I guess free in that context means free from the rules of logic and reason.
Honestly, it must. But again, I will continually say this, and I need y'all to like remember this. Say what you want, think what you want. You still can catch those hands, whether it's literally or metaphorically.
Sure.
And he's catching these hands, and he can't take it. And that's the thing that bothers me too about people who say stuff like "I'm a free thinker," "I'm a woke," or "I'm woke," or whatever the fuck they want to say to make themselves feel better about their stance. It's like, yo, why aren't you addressing the issue? people are having issue with what you're saying. They're coming at you and they're giving you an argument. Why are you trying to deflect the conversation? Why? Because all you want to do is be right. You don't want to have a conversation. You just want to be agreed with. That's the thing that bothers me the most, because it's like everybody seems to use those things to deflect having a real adult conversation about this and maybe being disproven, which isn't a bad thing.
Sure, it's I think you alluded to it earlier. This, ironically, for them those thinkers, they just kind of adopt a certain identity as it's like, how should I put it? Sometimes when you hear people talking, say you hear a white man talking about race issues or something, I've heard people like shut that down, like, you're white, what do you have to say about this? You never experienced blah, blah, blah. Which is not really an argument against that person's ideas so much as just pointing out their identity and then dismissing them. Here it's kind of the reverse, where it's like, you're challenging my ideas, but I am pushing forth this identity I have as a shield to actually addressing any counter arguments. It's shifting focus from a war of thoughts to an examination of identity, I guess, which, to the second point, it's not even really like an identity of any real kind. It's just this weird badge of honor you're just kind of donning to say, look at me, I am above, I am awoke, I guess, aware, a free thinker. It is a childish way to make yourself seem more. Purely for like self-gratification. I can't think of any other reason for it, which, I mean, sure, it is a natural human instinct to do things like that, but it doesn't really mean anything in the end. If your ideas are sound, then they should stand by themselves. It doesn't really matter whether you are a free thinker or not. It doesn't matter if I'm a mathematician, 2 + 2 = 4. It doesn't really matter who the fuck said it, so.
Yeah, no, it's just like, you think back to some of the, especially in African American culture, you think back some of the leaders. Martin Luther King wasn't walking around talking about how woke he was or how much of a free thinker he was. Martin Luther King just had his ideology. He shared it with the world. He went about his purpose. He didn't have to qualify himself with a title. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like, I'm Martin Luther King. I am the civil rights movement. No.
But I mean, when you have good ideas like equal rights, you don't have to try to back it with yourself. Like anytime I make an argument, I never start it with, as a black man or as a millennial or as a free thinker. There's no reason to do that.
No.
Because it doesn't really matter what your identity is anyway. And to MLK's point, he wasn't really known for pushing his own identity because it wasn't the point.
Yeah, no. It was
the
conversation, idea, the whatever the cause. But I really feel like everybody now just wants to be somebody, I guess. I
haven't paid much attention to Kanye, so I don't know if he's always had this compulsion to make himself seem.
Yeah, he kind of has. I could recognize. It's funny because I still remember the first time I ever experienced Kanye West was way back in the day. MTV used to do this spot where they would try to do up and coming artists, and he was one of the featured people. And they were showing him in the studio. Just the way he was acting in the studio about the shit that he was doing. Like, he gets extreme. Like, this is a man who gets extremely excited about his stuff. He's a very self-indulged person. You can tell right off the bat that his world is all feeding off of how much he can make you love him or pay attention to him. And he's always been at least that's the impression I've always gotten of him and what I've gotten from his rants. Like I said, I follow him on Twitter just because I just want to see the fucking volcano blow when it does. You know what I mean? The volcano. It's just like you live someplace and they tell you, this is an active volcano. It's like, yeah, it don't really blow often, but when it blows, it's a sight to see. So it might be worth being near.
Let's say a couple more things on that point. Because it didn't even occur to me that this probably didn't even happen until after the last podcast. So.
Yeah, the
And-
slavery thing happened after that. It was like it's funny because the thing that happened during the podcast was the song, the whoop diddy whoop.
Oh my god, news is so weird. What is her name? Candace.
Candace Owens.
Yeah, I believe she was the one who. What the fuck did she tweet? It was some crazy stuff. Fuck, I can't remember now. But I mean, generally from people like that, this idea that, you know, if you don't think what I think with my enlightened thoughts, it is probably because, you know, you're being manipulated. You're locked in. You're not free from thinking. You kind of like following the sheep. You know what I mean? It's always this weird. If you're not thinking what I'm thinking, it's because you're not enlightened. You're stumbling around in the dark. It's pretty self-aggrandizing. It's I don't know what the words are for it to show how arrogant that is, but
it's childish. It's very childish.
But it's a common tactic where, and you see it all the time. If you're not thinking what I'm thinking, it's because you're controlled by the mainstream media. There's always this weird, edgy, revolutionary style feeling that they're trying to adopt just to show that they're not one of the rest of you. Their eyes are open. They know better. It's like, why? Because you think something else? Because you think something different than like the mainstream? I mean, look, the mainstream isn't always right? I mean, there was a time where people thought that the earth was flat.
Yeah.
But sometimes ideas are mainstream because they're just agreeable. They make sense. Sometimes other ideas aren't mainstream because they're too stupid to be adopted.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Trump thing, by the way, it is not shocking at all that he saw that he had a black celebrity on his side and he just lost his shit. I mean, he was so excited about this. And it shows what Trump's priorities are like. Because it reminds me of when Roseanne had that episode or whatever, and he was like, they're doing great and the show's about us and blah, blah, blah. This, I guess similar to Kanye, this overwhelming need for attention that they can never quite satisfy. And they wear it on their sleeve because anytime they get that attention, they just can't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's like they need that. Like they need that weird. I don't know what it is. It's like why you feel so deficient in love or attention, but it's just.
I mean, everybody wants to feel like loved, and it feels good to be praised and loved and noticed. You know, that's natural. But for an adult to wear that so plainly on their sleeve like that, just wide out in the open, it's mind-boggling to me.
But you know, it's something that you see a lot, sadly, especially with social media. That was one of the points I was making in my whole thread tirade. Was just like, it just seems like, especially when it comes to doing this on social media, that I don't know, you feel like now everybody who needs that sort of attention has a place where they can grab it because it's so much easy to put out your thoughts. If they don't like it, I can dismiss them with the free thinking thing, or I can just block them and I never have to hear the noise of opposition, you know, and I could just feed off of just like the total string of people saying, yeah, like this is a guy that I follow. I used to be friends with him. I don't think he's smart enough to know that I'm not really friends with him, that I just follow him now. Just to like remind myself of how stupid people can be. And he's somebody who voted for Trump. He's a weird case to me too, because he's from the Middle East. He's an Armenian who likes Trump. And it's like, you do know this guy thinks that you're Muslim, even though where you're from, you're Christians. He thinks you're all Muslims and he don't want you in his country, right? But you love him, right? Okay, sure. Go ahead with that. But he's that person who, like Trump, when he finds something that speaks to like his thoughts, his train of thoughts, like he loves Trump and he's super pro, you know, into the whole liberal conservative bullshit fight and all that. He retweets Candace Owens. He retweets Kanye. He actually tweeted a picture of Kim Kardashian because I guess that's called Kanye's wife. And it's like that person. He's like he reminds me of how while there's people like Kanye who need that energy, there's people also who are willing to feed them that energy because just like him, they need that type of like confirmation of how they feel too. So it could be very addictive, and I can see why Kanye likes doing that dumb shit because he gets what he can't get anywhere else from this shit, and with him being a celebrity makes it even better for him, you know. But I see like this dude, I see him tweeting all these crazy, you know, fuck the liberal things and all that because, and he's very anti-Muslim because apparently there's a lot of issues between Armenians and Muslims in the Middle East. So he loves it when people bash his Muslims, like regardless of what it is. You know,
I guess he's a free thinker, though.
Yeah, but it's just like him just getting satiated for his beliefs, in my opinion.
No, I mean, definitely, and there is that sort of tribal aspect to it where you feel like you belong to a group because I can't see what animates I don't know what to call them. I don't want to necessarily call them conservative, but that group of people that just gets a hard on for fucking with liberals. I can't see what animates them other than the fact that it's kind of like when you're rooting against the opposing sports team or something. Just how into that shit you get. I saw this argument going around a little bit around that Kanye thing where, you know, they're making the point like you can't be a black conservative or this or that, you know. I'm sure that black conservatives probably get a little grief from others as though they're traitors or something. I'm sure that type of thing happens. But don't throw Kanye under that umbrella. He's not. What has he ever really said that made him all that conservative? It's not okay. Let me put it this way.
All
it's not
he
like,
said was that he likes Trump, and Trump's not even a conservative.
True, but more to the point, it's not like Kanye has, in some intellectual way, you know, prescribed to classical conservative ideas or anything like that. It's not like he's talking heavily on fiscal conservatism or any types of freedoms or anything like. You know, it's not like he is making an intellectual commitment to conservatism in any fucking way. I barely know what he's thinking at all, if anything, which, again, my main argument is that he's not thinking anything. So this bullshit about, you know, you're just giving this guy grief because he's a black conservative, he's a traitor, blah, blah, blah. No. If he actually had any ideas, we'd grill him on them. We grilled him on the things he actually said. You know, just because he puts on that stupid red hat doesn't make him conservative. And even if it did, he wouldn't be free of criticism for those ideas. Like,
all right.
The same thing with Trump too. Like, I don't like how people try to turn this into a political issue where it's you're just hating on them because they're of the opposing political group. No, you have a problem with them because their ideas are stupid, first of all, and second, they do not even share the ideas of the group you're saying we have problems with.
Right, exactly.
And I guess that just lends itself to this whole, you know, tribal instinct a lot of people have, where it's like, to be a liberal or a conservative is not to actually believe in any particular ideas. It's just either you're a part of the same team as me or you're not. Damn the actual thoughts behind it.
Yeah, no, it's a very weird thing. Speaking of Trumpism, I guess people are comparing this guy to being the next wave of Trumpism. Don Blankenship.
Even Trumpier than the last.
Yeah, so this guy is a nut. For those who don't know who Don Blankenship is, I suggest you Google this man. I have to remember to put a link somewhere, maybe in my Twitter, so you can see this fucking video, these commercials of this goddamn man. So, Don Blankenship is a candidate for Senate in West Virginia. He's running for the GOP position against the current incumbent, which is interesting enough.
Turtle. Sorry.
But the funny thing is, this guy is just out there. So he's a former coal mine owner who went to jail for negligence. He oversaw one of the biggest coal mining accidents in West Virginia, where I think they said 29 coal miners and maybe more died in an incident, and they found out that the whole operation was just faulty. Had he done what he had needed to do per letter of law, this could have been avoided, but he didn't. Those men died. Those men died, and he went to jail for a year for negligence. He comes straight out of jail and decides, "I'm running for fucking Senate." So he puts together a campaign commercial. The first campaign commercial was already off the chain, where he's talking about how the GOP doesn't really care about coal miners, and he's gonna go into office to basically take out, and this is his quote, "Cocaine Mitch," referring to Mitch McConnell, majority whip of the Senate. I mean, majority leader of the Senate. Sorry. Now, do you know where the reference comes from?
I saw it explained, but it was so fucking obscure. It was like,
yeah, so long story short of this is that Mitch McConnell is married to the Secretary of Transportation. I forget her name. For some reason, it escapes my mind, but she comes from a wealthy Asian family, and this particular family has holdings in different companies, including shipping. Apparently, one of the ships that they have was caught with 90 pounds of cocaine on it. Now, this isn't just like the only thing on the ship, because it was a ship where they just shipped all types of stuff, all types of different distributors from China. So apparently one of their distributors decided, I'm going to smuggle coke through this. It's, you could be a dick if you want and say that it was her family's connection to coke or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're a shipping company. People put all types of stuff on the list and will rob people to not say what it actually is. You can't blame the family, but apparently Don Blankenship can, because his wife's father's company had coke. This is the connection that he's making, people. Because Mitch McConnell's wife's father's company happened to have a ship within the whole entire company that had cocaine on it. Clearly, Mitch McConnell is connected to the cocaine business, and therefore he's Cocaine Mitch.
Sure. I mean, that's why I couldn't remember the full thing, because I do remember them talking about it on the news. And when I remember who was even saying it, when they explained that, I was like,
right,
can you repeat that shit? Like,
so fucking removed.
Like, whose sister's cousin's nephew half removed? Like, what the fuck was that?
Right. It's just like exactly what you said. It's like your sister's cousins back in the day went to jail. It's like, I don't know who the fuck that person is. Mitch McConnell has nothing to do with that, but apparently, in Don Blankenship's mind, it has everything to do with Cocaine Mitch. So he's been going around trying to explain himself. He gets worse because he does a video where what was the quote? Something about the American people giving something to the Chinaman or the China person. I'm sorry, the China people. And Mr. McConnell being involved with the China people and this China person, and this goes back to cocaine. It's like, wait, what? Why are you a China person? So people ask him, why are you calling them a China person? He's like, really, sir? He's like, well, and his response was, I'm a West Virginian person.
Yeah.
People call me a West Virginia person all the time.
His argument was,
by calling me a West Virginia person?
His argument was that China isn't a race, it's a place.
Right. So how am I being racist? I'm just saying they're people from China. They're a China person. Like,
first of all, Chinese is a race, but put that shit aside. just they're claiming that you're a racist here, and that's your argument. I remember he was responding to some reporter or something. He's like, "You're an NBC person. I'm a West Virginia." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I don't know if this was like a written statement or where it came from, but he's like, China isn't a place or a race. I mean, a race is like white or Negro, and I'm like, oh, yeah,
he said
stop
Negro,
the list
and I was
right
just like, yo, dude, fuck. Oh, now the reason we're bringing him up because there's been like some thoughts that he's a threat to the GOP and that they're not very happy with him. Of course, Trump has wholeheartedly come out, and this is one of the smarter things that Trump has done. Because Trump came out and tweeted, "You remember Alabama? Don't vote for this guy. Like, vote for the other guy. He cannot." He literally, Trump said that this guy cannot win a race. So why would you pick him to be your GOP candidate? This is Trump saying this. Like, Trump is giving words of wisdom to the to the conservatives of West Virginia. What the fuck?
Well, first of all, two things. One, I just had to pull up that full quote. He said something like, "We're confused on our staff as to how it can be racist when there's no mention of race. There's no race. Races are Negro, white, Caucasian, Hispanic. Like, there's no mention of race. I never used a race word."
Oh my God, this dude.
Yeah, bro, like, they're accusing you of being racist, and you dust off the old Negro,
right? Like, wait, did we just swoop back to the early 1900s?
I had to find the quote just to prove that I wasn't making that shit up.
And I need to put the link to that video because he actually said it.
Oh, yeah, I think he was talking to Slade or something, but
yeah, he was talking to somebody. He said it on camera, it wasn't a written statement. This is him.
Yeah, you're right. I had read it the first time. I did see that he said.
Yeah, then I sent you that video of Joy Reid talking about it.
That dude is wild, yo. But that was even what I was gonna say. I said. Yes, Trump. That was what I was about to say before I had to bring that up. Trump saying that this guy can't win. I don't know if that's words of wisdom because he's essentially like Trump, and Trump did win. So,
and that's the thing where like they've been mentioning, like Anna saying, like the GOP is worried because you have this guy who just says all types of crazy stuff that may appeal to, and hate to say this, but West Virginia already has that stereotype of being basically comprised of people like Don Blankenship.
Well, what kind of people though? Are they West Virginia people?
Insane people would be what I would call it.
As long as they're not China people, I guess.
I mean, they probably are like, some white people, some Negro people, some Indian people. I'm surprised he didn't break out in the word Indian. Like, Jesus. God damn.
I know it's how people thought at some point in history, but bruh.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to dial the your time machine 200 years forward, please. Like, jeez.
I'm sorry, but I had to point out when he said Cocaine Mitch, I was like, see, classic Trump. That was definitely a Trumpian style nickname.
Right.
I don't know if it gives. I feel like anytime I use the word like Trumpian, Trump's off somewhere getting a boner, but it's the only way to describe it. It's just like a certain brand of intellectual stupidity. It's the type of name calling like a 2-year-old or 3-year-old or whatever might come up with. You know what I mean? Like the simple random bullshit word and then the name. Lion Ted. I forgot what he used to call Hillary. Crooked Hillary.
Yeah.
Cocaine Mitch. It's that same sort of stupid style of name calling. Not that name calling is usually mature anyway. But
Right. But it's like you're not even putting in any effort. You're just like taking the easiest route to doing this.
well, I had to wonder if that was calculated way to do. Like if he did it on purpose, like to try to match Trumpness as much as possible. I mean, I'm sure he was always kind of like that, but I remember saying, you know, when Trump won, he was successful in the sense that he was still around and doing shit. I remember saying, like, are we going to see more people do this? Because it worked for him.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, we've had a couple of races like the guy in Pennsylvania who endorsed Trump, and again, you know, more in Alabama who've kind of adopted this style and have blown up into ashes. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. So say he does win the GOP nomination. Do you think the state of West Virginia would vote him in?
I don't know.
Because see, my thing with him is he's probably worse than anybody who's ever been presented in that like quote unquote Trumpian way. Simply because he has like horrible baggage with the state. I don't care if you're a conservative or liberal in West Virginia. This man cost the lives of almost 30 people because he was fucking greedy as, you know, corporate owner.
When he said the government doesn't care about minors or whatever, I was like, bruh, you got a lot of balls saying that.
Right, exactly.
Holy shit.
Like you just fresh stepped out of prison for not caring about minors.
Yo. Oh my God, this guy.
So I would love to see. Morbid curiosity makes me want him to win. Because I think one, you know, the other guy I forget his name, but he would probably win his seat back. He'd probably be close, right, but he'll win his seat back.
I don't care if the other guy has a broomstick without the broom part, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, if this guy actually wins the nomination, apocalypse now. Like,
bro, other guy or gal, whoever, if you can't beat this fucking guy,
I would give up. I would quit politics.
Exactly. Like, don't fucking bother.
It's like I don't have any other choice but to become a school teacher or something at this point, because
clearly this isn't the job for you.
Right.
Is there any like initial polling of any kind that we can reference to see how
oh my God.
think about it?
I need to fucking do that now. Because what if he has a close like margin?
The power of partisanship, because oh my God, bro. If even Trump can see that this dude is a problem. As a matter of fact, that should embolden the entire GOP landscape to be like, yeah, fuck this guy. Because I know some of them are scared of going against Trump, given how popular he is with some of their supporters. You know, they don't want to catch that Twitter fire. But since Trump is against this dude.
Okay, so they're voting today. Today's the poll for it. Okay. Well, right now, I didn't know the vote was now. No, Pat Morrissey is the guy's name. And he's got a clear margin over everybody. Blankenship is actually third, though. Did you know this guy has 20% of the vote? Morrissey has 39. The other guy, Evan Jenkins, has 24 and a half. And Blankenship actually has 20%. So clearly, there are a lot of people in like fucking West Virginia who likes this guy.
Yeah, he's stuck into the China people. Okay, what is his policies, bro? What makes him appealing? It can't be the fact that he's a China people.
Okay, this is what it is. So there is a Democrat in the seat, Joe Manchin. Okay, he probably will take his seat. Yeah, he's not going to lose. Because if I'm Joe Manchin, I'm not even running a campaign against Pat Morrissey if Morrissey wins. I'm just like, yo, you do realize these are people who were willing to vote for Don Blankenship, right? Really not want me back here?
I mean, It's such a weird fucking position for that party to be in.
Yeah, and that's why I could understand the idea of the fear, because it's kind of a repeat of the Sarah Palin thing when you had the Tea Party rise, and all of a sudden, like, shit just went crazy, and they end up losing both the House and the Senate at that time. I could understand the fear, because if you keep propping up these people like Trump, people are gonna, even the most like staunchest conservatives, are gonna be like, "Yo, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I'd rather suffer through a couple of years of them than you." You know what I mean? It's so fucking weird. That is crazy, yo.
This political gamble that party has taken, riding. And again, I understand that Trump is popular enough with part of your base, but you fucked up. This is the reason you find yourself in positions like this. That it really is, because you allowed this type of bullshit to just manifest itself within your party, where even if it's not the norm for your party per se, it's normal enough that you can't fucking ignore it. So
yeah, like, you've let this become a part of your DNA, which you didn't want to. And it's, it's reflected on the things that are going down in the world today and our position in the world.
Before you go there, his commercials though, the quality of those commercials is so fucking bad.
Oh my god!
I legit thought they were a parody until I looked and saw it was the real dude.
Money when he went to jail and he couldn't afford to like build anything but that. It's like, and the funny thing is, you feel like it's scripted, the things he's saying, because of the deadpan way that he says it. But then when you see the interview that he did, that's his personality. He's just so deadpan. It's just like watching one of those 1-800 commercials for those law firms where they have like some stiff ass lawyer, like, you need help with your asbestos claim, then come to like 1-800 lawyer or whatever.
That was way more emotion than that dude showed. Like, because I think that's part of the reason it took me like almost halfway through the video to realize that it was him and it was real. Because
you would have thought, oh, they just paid somebody off the street to read a script. Nah, this is him.
I just had to say that. But continue on with it.
Yeah, but no, I forget the segue. Let's just go right into it. So today we got the news that we all were awaiting with bated breath, because who didn't know this was going to happen? Donald Trump has decided to remove the United States from the Iran deal, the Iran nuclear deal, which basically was set up to curb Iran's ambition for nuclear weaponry. We came to an agreement under the Obama administration, basically allow them to have nuclear research for the benefit of, their society, electronics, powering their country, what have you, and impose certain sanctions that will make sure that they're not trying to produce uranium to use for weapons. They're not making enriched.
Not enriching uranium, yeah.
So,
and we get to do shit like watch them and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Trump pulls out the deal because he feels like it's unfair, partially because of oil, and this is his, I guess, business mind working, because Iran is still one of the top distributors of oil within the whole organization, Asian Middle East organization that controls oil. I don't understand what benefits it. Oh God, this is horrible. Mike Pence's brother has won a primary race in Indiana, that poor state. Jeez.
I mean, they're not looking down the barrel of Blankenship, so maybe it'll be cool.
At least he looks like a less evil Mike Pence. He looks like he might actually enjoy life. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry, Indiana. You made mistakes again. But how do you feel about this whole Iran thing? Because you mentioned it in the message to me earlier. It's like everybody in the world is basically telling you this is not a good idea. And this guy's like, okay, I'm going to do it then.
So, you said, I mean, I think you took for granted the idea that we all knew this was coming. I guess, I don't know, somehow in my mind, I thought it was so stupid that, like, I still wasn't processing how much of a possibility this could be, especially because with Trump, he just says shit all the time. And granted, he's been fairly consistent about this type of thing, but I don't know. I just couldn't believe it when you sent me the article that showed that he finally did it today. Because I know up till yesterday, people were like, "Oh, what's gonna happen? Are we really gonna pull out?" I'm like, I just don't see it, bro. I mean, you can't have an entire government and everybody else's government telling you this is stupid and then do it anyway. That can't happen.
But again, we should know better because Paris, everybody in the world said you need to stick with this. Like, we will be the only country in the world that doesn't agree with this. If you do this, we will be the outlier. We will be the ones who don't care about, the ecosystem. But
I figured there was a psychological difference there where, you have a good amount of people in this country who, I shouldn't say good amount because I don't really know the number. I'm hoping it's small. They don't really believe in climate change or care about that shit. And I'm sure Trump, being all about the money, doesn't give a shit about the idea of climate change. He thinks it's a Chinese hoax. After all, those goddamn China people, they're everywhere. But with the Iran deal, this notion of halting Iran's nuclear program, preventing them from being able to create nuclear weaponry, I would think psychologically that should strike more of a chord with him. Like, just out of fear of having more nations with this type of weaponry should, give you pause. I could see, I assumed that it would be a different thought process with him. So I do see the comparison you're making to the Paris thing, but I assumed it was different because of the nature of the problem at hand.
That could be true.
Apparently, it wasn't. I
also feel like part of it is because he must have some type of his relationship with Israel. I really feel like he's kind of backing down. It's funny because as much as he likes to frame himself as some like strong, smart, upstanding leader, I feel like part of his decision is based around the fact that he is kind of manipulated by Israel, who kind of wants to, I hate to say this, but Israel basically are probably the biggest villains in the Middle East because it seems like they don't want anybody else to progress beyond them or to at least match them. And they're willing to do everything. It's just like with the whole thing with the Palestinians, it's like, y'all can't just make a peace and have them have it. No, you got to take their line and you have to like have these issues with them and enforce laws upon them, even though they're not, they're their own independent country. Yet you feel like you still own sovereignty over them. And, the way that they interact with the rest of the world and in their deals, I really feel like this is just him listening to Netanyahu last week and saying, "I'll do whatever you want because you're going to name this thing after me." And like, I just think Israel knows how to manipulate him, and I really don't think that he ever, like with everything else, has thought this through, or at least had people thinking through for him.
I mean, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu over there, he's nice to Trump, and he talks with that confident, sexy voice of his. So I can see how that could fill up Trump's head. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's as fine analysis as any. I'm not going to touch the Israel being a major villain thing. I mean, that entire Middle Eastern clusterfuck is a bit too complicated for me to touch at this exact moment, but it's as good as analysis as anything else about why Trump is Trump on this particular issue. I mean, you pulled us out of it, and I just don't see any good argument on his part for fucking doing this. Or even an argument, period. Like, yeah, he just didn't really say all that much about it. He just like, yeah,
he just says this is not a good deal for the United States. Okay, what's not good about it? It's just not a good deal for the United States. Okay, meaning it's not a good deal. Like, dude, could you elaborate a bit? And you know, I just kind of take back that villain thing with Israel. I won't say that because it's not the country of Israel, but I think like certain government factors, including Netanyahu in particular, their vested interests like seem to kind of put them in a position where they're willing to fuck over everybody else. It's kind of, I feel like it's kind of what Trump is trying to bring America to. That it's like he has this vision of America being this truly dominating force like they used to be during the superpower wars between them and Russia, where we kind of split the influence. I feel like he's just trying to cap off the Cold War with America just being the superior country of the world. And in his drive for that imagery, he's not thinking through the consequence. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about the whole free ticket thing. It's like you're not really weighing the consequences. You just want the result. You know what I mean? Or at least the desired result, I should say, without thinking it through.
Well, I understand Netanyahu is pleased with this. I'm pretty sure some of his people told him this is not a good idea either. I don't know. Again, he never really explained in any useful way what the fuck this was for. He didn't really give you the opportunity to disagree with an idea because he didn't really give you any ideas. He just says, I'm going to do this shit, and now here we are, I guess. And I don't know how this is supposed to be good for us, for the country in any way. I don't know why he's not concerned at all about this idea of, say Iran wants to kick back up their nuclear program to make weaponry or whatever. That doesn't concern you. I guess it concerned him a little bit because he fucking threatened them over it. Pretty sure he said if they were to do that, they would not have a good day. You know what I mean? Which is very cute to show that we don't want to play ball with the rest of the world and then threaten to murder a bunch of people. Well, maybe that's going too far. I shouldn't say he threatened to murder a bunch of people, but it was a threat nonetheless.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact quote, but it was a threat, and it's not cute to fucking do that after you just pull out of this deal and you have the entire Western world and it's like people around what you just did. It's not good stuff.
No, not at all. But I mean, this is the path we're going. Like I said to you, I really feel like he's trying to relive the 80s, and it's not working.
But I don't know. I just don't understand his thought process at all. Like, I'm scratching and clawing and trying to reach for an idea somewhere out there, and I just can't grab it. Just some idea to actually talk against, and he just hasn't provided any, and yet he managed to do this. I mean, maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. Maybe I just haven't seen his arguments, but as far as I can tell, he just never provided any.
Yeah, I would love to see this turn out positive because, I mean, you have the Dow going down, losing points, I saw. Fluctuation of oil prices, like, it's almost fucking $3 a gallon right now for gas.
And what was this supposed to do for us exactly?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Because you keep saying we're getting fucked in this deal here. What are we gaining from doing this?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the whole aspect of like being fucked. But how?
The rest of the world is always locking us in these unfair deals. What is so unfair about it? Tell us the problem. What don't you like about it?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't understand. He just makes no real argument or point.
I haven't really ever heard his defenders really make any good noises on this.
No, I don't. And I feel like that's becoming a bigger trend. Like, I feel like unless you actually follow certain people on social media, you don't get that. Like, again, this is why I follow that idiot who calls himself Deplorable Jesus. Jeez.
Deplorable Jesus. That's a cool rapper name right there. Deplorable Jesus. That's. I'm about to become a rapper, and that's my name.
Deplorable. I mean, it could work these days. I feel like. But
DJ.
it's like that's why I kind of follow, because I need to see like what are y'all actually thinking and how are you processing this. And it's funny because I saw him put something and somebody respond how like, see, America's winning again. He retweeted something about how America's winning again by getting out this, we're taken from the shell. And of course, people were asking, what the fuck are you talking about? What is that we're winning? And the person had no response. It's like, see, even you don't get it. You're fucking hyped about this. But you don't know what you're fucking hyped about.
You see, I'm mad you did that because I actually thought you were about to tell me what he said in response, and then you gave me nothing.
Who said in response?
Deplorable Jesus over there. Like
he just retweeted it. He honestly, he really doesn't have a real opinion.
I was excited. Like somebody has an argument about this. Let's hear it. And
no,
then like
he's not. He has no argument. All he does is retweet things that fit with what he believes. Like I've had a conversation with him about this before I decided, yeah, you're definitely just on here for clowning. And he just had a hard time. It was after the election. He just had a hard time understanding why we're so dead set against Trump and stuff like that. And I plainly told him, like, this guy's inexperienced. He's used nothing but a campaign full of hate and dissent. And this isn't the type of thing we need. He's not encouraging any type of unity, any type of global unity. And I believe he's going to revert. And he was like, okay, I just wanted to see what you say. He had no argument. Like, he seriously had no argument. Like, anytime I would try to, like, figure out why he thinks this is cool, the only thing I could ever get out of him is that he has an issue with Muslims. He hates Muslims. And he knows Trump is against Muslims, and it's just like, okay, you really don't have no reason. You just
weirdly more of a reason than most people have.
Yeah, it's like, but to me, it's not that much of a reason because it's like so you have prejudices that he speaks to, and therefore,
yeah. I mean, I certainly wasn't arguing it's a good reason, but I would argue that most people don't have a reason. So.
Yeah, no, they just like because the liberals are gonna ruin the country. Like, how are we gonna ruin the country? They just gonna ruin the country. Like, okay. I would like to know how.
I guess, this sense that liberals have taken over the country or whatever. This weird sort of putting yourself in that victim role is kind of, in some ways, how we get to this. To being taken out of these deals with the world, where I just don't understand Trump's mindset per se, but this idea that engaging with the world is what you want. I mean, he seems to want a relationship with the world that is about domination, and if he's not dominating you, that's not the relationship we ought to have. It's the only thing I can say to explain it because I don't understand it otherwise. Where just in general, this notion of being in partnership with the world seems to really fucking bother him. I don't know if you sense that as well, but
yeah, he really has.
And again, the great irony is that you keep mentioning that he wants to a return to this time when we were so powerful a player in the world, but everything he does is in opposition to that. He keeps pulling us out of a position where we might have some power so that we're just kind of alone on this island.
Yeah, no, because a lot of the stuff he pulls out are ideas that either we introduced or we kind of, we're at the, head of the table with the others spearheading. Like the reason the Paris Treaty came about was because they asked us to be a part of it. So clearly we have some type of sway because they wanted the United States to be there because they were like, look, we like the United States has a lot of influence, and you saying this will help in the long run.
If you can get us on board, it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah. And
it's pretty much an admittance of our power.
Right, exactly. So I don't understand why he felt like we were reverting to something that we should be ashamed of. No, what? I totally don't get it. I sincerely don't get it, but
and you look at Iran, I'm sure their reaction is partly, well, good, fuck them. We can make some deals with Europe, China probably. Fuck the US, we don't need them. So,
and that's the thing that bothers me the most is that you see all these other countries after he does these things decide we're just going to step up, just like the sanctions that China teased over the past week about certain things, which will affect certain areas of the United States where we distribute things, like in the South. I think pork was one of them. Like South distributes a lot of pork, but China was like, yeah, we probably put some high-ass tariffs on pork. Okay. How are you going to be able to export pork to a company that's going to rape you for sending your shit here and stuff like that? Things like that. Like, did you really think this out? Because these countries don't have to take it. There's other places that produce these things. It's not like we covet a product anymore that no one else can cultivate. So what are you doing?
I mean, I guess another way to put it is that America's power is its influence over the other countries, which you are stripping us of by not allowing us to influence them at all. So, because again, it's not like we're a big producer nation of physical goods per se. So we don't have that much leverage outside of cultural influence and shit like that. I mean, we have extremely the most powerful military, I guess, but it's not the card you want to play, is it?
No, not at all. And that's one of the things about the Iran thing, that they feel like Iran and Israel are probably going to go to war over this.
Yeah, no shit.
Which again, causes effect. You endorse a plan for someone who other people in the Middle East have issue with. And of course, I can understand them looking at Israel. It's like, you did this. You encouraged him to do this. And going off. And it's like, okay, if that happens, well, congratulations. You just started a war in the Middle East between two countries.
Hasn't our role supposed to have been more of a neutral arbiter in the Middle East in general? I mean,
yeah, that was one of the reasons for this whole Iran deal, is to make us as neutral and withdrawn from having to go all out and do all these sanctions and possible military actions against Iran. It's like, yo, give them a little something so they calm the fuck down, and we don't have to worry about them going, from 0 to 1,000.
And yet he's just never really been all that neutral about shit in the Middle East since he took office. I mean, I guess probably before, but he definitely has not continued the neutral role that we've strived to achieve there. So does he think there won't be any consequences to that? Or I guess maybe he thought being neutral is a pussy move. I don't fucking know what his problem is. He seems to think of relationships in general as things to be dominant in.
Yeah, you don't get along. You just have control.
If I'm that. And he takes the cost-benefit analysis thing way too simplistically. Like, are we getting money out of it? No. Well, fuck him. Are we losing money? I mean, sometimes we choose to lose a little money because it has other effects that are better for us.
Yeah, it's like allowing them to have some type of nuclear power plant, something like that, may make their oil production more efficient, which can draw down the cost of oil, which we're so dependent on.
I mean, yes, relationships between countries are complicated, and fuck, sometimes you just want a country to prosper just so you don't have to fucking deal with them. Like, you know, it's not good when other countries have extreme problems, because those will break out to the rest of the world.
Right.
I mean, you have a refugee crisis out of Syria because of all the shit that's going down around there. And those refugees are pouring into other places around the world, largely in Europe, but some here too. Like, if that country was in better shape, we wouldn't have to deal with that. We live on the same planet after all, so it's not like we can just ignore when other countries are having a problem. Even though a lot of people feel that way, they feel like America shouldn't be involved in any of this shit. Sure, until it becomes a problem that we can't ignore, right? Then you're probably going to wish we'd done something before.
Yeah. Again, we're not talking about a thinker here.
He's a genius.
Yeah, exactly. He sure is a genius. So it's like, okay. Speaking of people who seemingly aren't thinkers, I hate to say this about you, Milani, but
oh, I think you're saying me. I was like, damn, you got me. Heel turn.
No, we're talking about our lovely First Lady, Melania Trump, who announced her agenda this week. Be Best, which outlines a lot of different things, mainly focusing on cyberbullying and that good stuff. By the way, to a side note, to the thing that pissed you off this week, part of the special American Council for Health and Sports has been announced, and it's Dr. Oz from the TV show. Mehmet Oz, cardiosurgeon and TV extravaganza, is now going to be one of the headliners of this administration's health and sports agenda.
Why does this Trump guy have to turn on a TV, start watching these cartoons he watches, and then decides he wants to hire those people in real life? Like, what is this guy's fucking problem? First of all, how do you put him in the... Who hires people like this, bro? If I needed a chef in the kitchen, I wouldn't try to call up Nickelodeon and hire SpongeBob. What are you doing?
I make some good Krabby Patties.
Okay, fair enough. SpongeBob is good at his job, so not a good example. But just the way this dude is hiring people all the time. Like, this is not the first time he sees a motherfucker on TV and he's like, yeah, I'm about that. Hire them. They're on TV. They must be good, I guess.
It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. Anyway, back to Melania.
This dude's a cartoon character, bro. This Oz guy is... Go back to Melania. Just go back to Melania.
He could have hired that doctor again.
Just go back.
You know, the crazy dude who said he sent somebody to steal Trump's medical records, which I found very weird. Why are you having somebody snatch your medical records? Is there something wrong with you? But anyway, so Be Best.
Talk about that?
Huh? No, we didn't talk about that madness.
This guy dictated his own fucking meta. What is this guy's problem?
I mean, isn't that shocking though, considering the things that you heard before he was kicked out of his job? Dr. Ronnie Jackson saying about how this man is 6'3" and what, 230?
What's surprising is that, and I've heard other people make this point, we're not even really talking about the fact that he did that, because it's just not even on the top 10 of shit to worry about nowadays. Where you have this guy, you know what it feels like? It feels like living in one of those authoritarian regimes where they tell you that the leader is a god of some kind, and they just like spout all kinds of crazy shit. It feels like the way Putin puts out those images of himself, like riding horses with his shirt off and shit, or
right,
you know, finding treasure and like all this weird shit he does. It feels like that. It feels like him, Trump, trying to make him seem far better than he is just for appearance's sake. It's more to the point. Why couldn't you at least make it believable? He's 100 foot tall. He's got the biggest dick in the world. Like, he's the best.
I'm surprised he hasn't had that put out. Right? Maybe Giuliani will do that, which we'll get to in a little bit. But
I mean, in retrospect, it sounds like the exact type of thing Trump would say. He'll probably be the most healthy president, to ever be in office, or whatever the fuck that dude said back then. Like, it's the type
he did say he was the healthiest person he's ever met. Like, wait.
It's the type of over-exaggeration that's just classic Trump, and we all should have just recognized the way it sounded when he said it. Yes. Only Trump talks like that. It's going to be great. It's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before, blah, blah, blah. Just this classic hyperactive car salesman type speech that Trump always does. We should have just recognized it based on the word, but amazing. Fucking amazing. And why bother lying? You're an old dude. I think we could have accepted that you had some health problems, right?
Yeah, at 70 years old, living the lifestyle that you've lived and looking the way you look, yeah, come on, man.
I'm sure whatever the doctor would have told us would have been not surprising. So what's the fucking point other than your ego is just that out of control?
Exactly. I don't know.
But Melania.
Yeah. So the agenda for the Be Best platform, which, by the way, you already have the reputation of being one half of the villains from Rocky and Bullwinkle with your accent. Do you really have to say Be Best?
I mean, that's not nice.
I'm sorry, but the alliteration is just like, it killed me the first time I saw it. Like, he says Be Best. Like,
I don't know what to say to that other than you're a dick. And maybe you need to be best.
With this being National Teacher Appreciation Week, I would appreciate if she appreciates English teachers.
Sir, she speaks more languages than either of us, all right? It's not her fault if English isn't her first language. It's the administration's fault for not... You know what? Maybe they did it on purpose. They just wanted to be cute with her speech. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, clearly they're messing with her, which is not right because that lady doesn't want to be there in the first place.
Sure. I'm not putting that type of shit on her because it's like, I gotta respect that you at least know other language. I don't know. Fuck it.
But anyway, the Be Best program focuses on 3 areas: well-being, fighting opioid abuse, and positivity on social media.
Positivity. They should get the Booty Boys. What are they called? The Pancake Pals. What the fuck's their name? Bruh. New Day.
Okay.
I literally forgot their name. They should get New Day to help with the power of positivity.
You know, that wouldn't be a bad idea for the campaign. At least it'll make it lively.
We got more black guys.
You know what, though? Don't say that, because if by some odd chance someone related to Vince McMahon in any way heard this and like, hey, these 2 black guys says that Trump should use the New Day in their campaign. Oh, yes, more money for me. We can have Trump. Yeah.
Oh, it'll make millions.
Right. Like, oh my God, don't. So yeah, please don't run this back to Vince McMahon because he will try it.
Oh God, this guy's great.
But the funny thing about the whole thing was everybody noted how she was making this, like, you know, concerted effort to talk about the cyberbullying thing in front of her husband, in the irony of the moment. But that's not the main focus of this. My main focus has always been, why does she need to do this?
Why does she need to have an agenda?
Yeah.
You're asking the wrong guy, because I would argue she doesn't need to have one. I mean, let me take it back. Unless somebody can show me like some sort of constitutional evidence that she needs to actually do something. I don't see why.
Yeah, no, I feel like I understand some of it because we've had some pretty dynamic first ladies over the last probably 20 odd years who've been actively involved in certain things. That's fine. I don't think you have to, as a first lady, be that involved. I just feel like they're really, really trying to find a reason for us to love her, not like love her. I think she's on the level where we don't know enough about her to either like or hate her. Most people pity her. That I know.
It's so weird.
What's so weird?
We all talk about her like she's a prisoner somewhere.
Yeah, it is. It's like this poor woman who has to put up with this. And, to be fair to Trump, it's not like we've heard stories of domestic violence or stuff like that. So,
I mean, I guess not with her. We have heard of like alleged marital rape, I guess, with one of his wives. So I don't know.
Right. Was it Marla Maples who said that?
Man, dude has like 50 wives. I don't fucking know that.
Yeah, no, I forget which one who said that. I think it was Marla Maples. It may have been Ivanka. Yeah, you're right. Who knows what the fuck he's been doing? But yeah, so shit. I was trying to give him like a little hope, and you reminded me of that shit. God damn.
I mean, I didn't bring up Ivanka though. That was cold blood.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean Ivanka. What was his first wife's name? Shit.
You know exactly what the fuck you mean, you asshole.
I did not mean Ivanka. I seriously didn't mean Ivanka. I know that's his fantasy. But I did not mean Ivanka. Shit. Ivana. It's Ivana. No K. I'm sorry. I seriously that I guess that was a Freudian slip.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Our president wants to fuck his own daughter. That's not right. Anyway. Speaking of which, that reminds me, I had to talk about that John Oliver thing that I didn't know about Giuliani from his video. That was hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like I told you this the other day, and I still believe. I feel like we're just so looking for some type of rainbow in the midst of the clouds of Trumps that this poor woman who had no desire of being first lady probably was like the rest of us, thinking that her husband was just playing around with the whole president idea, didn't think that he could possibly win. Is now thrust into the public limelight, and it's like, especially since a couple of months back, everybody's been clamoring for Ivanka stuff. Like, oh, what dress is she wearing? Oh, how is she acting with these people? Oh, she went to Barbara Bush's funeral, and people had it looks like she was happy. Like this hyper focus on Melania right now is weirding me out. Really.
I mean, I'm sure it's a desperation move. Like nothing else about the administration is exactly a bright spot. And neither is she really, but she's just like not a dark spot, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I hate to say this about her, but it's like you're the background noise, and apparently the background noise is becoming much more appealing than what's going on in front.
But to me, it's ironic because I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't be putting her out there while this Stormy Daniels shit is going on. Like that doesn't feel like the strategy. Well, I guess based on the position, there might not have many choices, but I don't know. It seems like an odd strategy.
At the same time, I think it's kind of cool because that whole victim angle that she has. I feel like if she was to go on TV and do a bunch of interviews, no one would actually want to broker the whole Stormy Daniels thing with her because they feel bad for her already. I really feel like it would be a, situation of, you've gone through so much. I can't do this to you. So I'm gonna like be nice to you and let you get over her.
You're an asshole. I'd ask that question. I'd be like, so, you know, when you divorce this motherfucker, right? Like, we got you, right? Like, I'm sure there's going to be some weird ass GoFundMe that's going to take care of you.
And people probably, I mean, it's not something that's off the table, in my opinion. I'm not saying that you shouldn't ask those questions because fuck. Yo, people want to know. I mean, this is what happens when you're put in this position, unfortunately.
It's not
I
crazy
get why
that
you shouldn't do it.
Statement on this.
No,
it's crazy.
I don't think anybody saw any statement from her. That's the thing, and like she has this like whole secluded thing around her. It's like, again, the public opinions that people have been going nuts over were major public events where she was almost obligated to do so, not necessarily by choice, because you clearly can tell if given a choice, she'd rather not be anywhere near what's going on. So you don't get any real feedback or personality from her to know like this is something that she really is about. To me, this is what makes it all kind of fucked up too, because now it's like, okay, even if you want to like stay away from the Trump stuff, I need you to explain to me why this is a big deal to you and why you felt the need to do this, really.
Were you bullied? Like, I mean, yeah, I don't know why she chooses to hang her head on this in particular. Not that caring about children is weird or anything. It just, I don't know. It would help if we actually knew anything about her to help justify this type of thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the stuff that we do know about, you kind of don't want. That's another thing too. Is she's one of those weird first ladies that her past history probably makes it hard for people to want to ask questions because you know what everybody's going to ask about. So,
what country are you from?
Well, that except for the caveat was me and how did you get in that position that you were in that video when you were in that country? Because we all know she was like a soft porn, actress, model. What do you call it?
I didn't watch whatever video you're talking about, so I don't know what position you're referring to. But
the one where the lady's head was in between her legs.
I don't know what you're talking about. So I legitimately don't know what you're talking about.
Oh. You didn't know she like had like
I'm assuming whatever it was a feat of athleticism, flexibility. I don't know, but
no, it wasn't. I'm just being overly like it wasn't all that special. But yeah, she was a new model and all that stuff. No,
I don't know. Maybe she feels like she's bullied on that type of shit. I've certainly heard people be like a lot rougher with her based on that type of shit than I think is warranted. I'm trying to think. I don't know if that shit was illegal or whatever, but even if it was illegal, it wasn't fucking murder. Like,
no, but
I heard people go fucking hard on her for having some nude pictures and shit out there. Like, okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of girl-on-girl pictures and all that. It's like, yeah.
I'm not saying that I've heard enough bullying to warrant her doing this. I'm just throwing a guess out there because I don't really have anything to go on.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why part of her agenda is bullying, because it is kind of bullying to keep messing with her about her past and all of that.
And I made the argument that everybody's knee-jerk reaction to her supposedly giving a shit about bullying is like, well, your husband's the biggest fucking bully online, which is facts. That dude's out of control. I don't see why that matters. I mean, one, she's not her husband. She is a different human being altogether, and she can pursue this if she wants, regardless of what the fuck he's doing. She's not in control of him. I mean, as you clearly saw today, the whole world can't control this motherfucker. So I don't know why we keep talking as though she has some sort of responsibility or accountability toward the things he does. Logic itself cannot control Trump. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, he's had like several other wives, and you ever listen to any, including Ivana, not Ivanka? It's clearly that this guy was off hinge from things that she said or excerpt from her Bush. That it's like, yo, book. I said Bush. God damn it, the porn thing is on my head now. I'm gonna be doing this all night. Sorry, from her book. Or it's just like this dude, just like, you know, is wild, and you can't really influence or do anything with him because he's gonna do whatever fuck he wants.
yeah, so when people say, you know, what about Trump? When she talks about that bullying thing, I'm like, what about Trump? What do you expect her to fucking do exactly that the entire world has not managed? What do you want? Plus, we know how Trump feels about women in general, right? So it's like, just have that much respect for them. I just don't understand why people bring this up. Like she is failing to do something she has the power to do. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit ironic, but let's give her the benefit of the doubt for a second. Let's just say that this really is something she cares about and is passionate about. Why can't she pursue that? Just because her husband's an asshole? Like she should be free to pursue that if she wants. And I don't know if somehow her programs or whatever the fuck they are, because I haven't seen that much about them, actually have some positive effect in some kid's life. Well, fuck it. It will at least undo a little bit of Trump's damage, I guess. So
it's true. Yeah, no, I just like leave that woman alone. That poor woman, as you guys would say.
I think what's going to be awkward is like when Trump is not president, assuming she's still married. We're going to have to wonder if she's alive because, like, in the position they're in now, they're kind of forced to strut her out every once in a while just because of the scrutiny they're under. But, like, you know, one day he's going to be like, that's it. You should have been a better first lady. I'm going to tie you back down in the basement or some shit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think once he's not president, she's gone.
I think she should be gone. Like, if you ever wanted to make a fucking statement right now, right? Fuck it.
And I guess this is where the hostage thing comes from, because you got to remember, via her marriage, she was able to move other family members, not just like her immediate family members, but other family members to this country. And it could be she has some slight fear, like if I don't be nice to this jackass, then he might try to initiate something to get rid of my family.
He might sick Cohen after us.
Speaking of which, something just popped up about him too. It's funny because this fucking administration doesn't know how to stop. Like, dude, can you explain to me why is it like that?
Before you hop there, this idea that there was this pamphlet that they're saying she plagiarized from the Obama administration that talks about I think it's like talking to your children about being online and shit. And it's pretty much just the same pamphlet with like a changed graphic and like an intro from her or some shit. It's plagiarism, full on hardcore, right? Do you blame her for that? Like, is that her fault? I don't know who the fuck set up that thing, but
no, because I don't think she wrote her agenda.
I mean,
to begin with, which is sad.
Who is in charge of this stuff? They have to be doing this on purpose. She already was embarrassed by that whole Michelle Obama plagiarism shit. And then you do this, bruh? You have to be doing this on purpose to mess with her, right? Like, what did she do? You just don't like her accent? Like, who is doing this to that poor woman?
Yeah, she's a unique first lady in the fact that
I'm not putting that shit on her either. I don't know who organizes this shit, but they're not doing this woman any favors. Oh my god.
They just wanted to be the best.
I mean, aren't you strutting this woman out to be like your sunshine or some shit? Can't you keep her pristine and stop making her look stupid?
No, because if you don't have her pretty face to sell his ugly ideas, what the fuck?
I mean, she can actually like read a speech without being a psycho.
Yeah.
Which I didn't mean to say that like sarcastically.
No, I didn't take it sarcastically. I took it as truth because this fucking guy's a psycho.
She got up there, she read a little speech, calmly, got through it without saying some crazy ass shit. She's one of the few people around you that can still do that, like, which is weird because she doesn't have any position of any real power. But where the fuck is Ivanka?
Her and Jared's been quiet since like the stuff is becoming came out like a while ago about his involvement with the Russian investigation. He's been quiet.
I mean, I can understand why he'd be hiding. He is in some deep shit. Unless she's also in deep shit or just doesn't want to face the questions. Is she still a senior advisor to the White House? Yeah. So she's still... Okay, let me rephrase that question. Does she ever go into work? Like, does she go to the White House? Is she there?
She has her own room there.
So she... Okay. I guess
she lived there before his wife.
Facts. I mean, I'm pretty sure Melania's a side chick, but
I swear when the FBI goes to review this file after hearing the name Trump and all of that several times, they're gonna be like, "My God, these dudes are so fucking brutal."
I just had to ask because you just never fucking see this woman, and it's not like she was always like, because Melania has always been like this since the beginning. Like you didn't see her unless somebody felt like she had to be seen. It's like, hey, it's been like 3 months since anybody's seen Melania's face. Let's bring her back out. Ivanka wasn't like that. She was out there trying to push herself as this woman person that's awesome. And now she's just not around. I don't know if she just got beat down by the media too much.
Who knows? Speaking of media beatdowns, but in a reverse sense. Well, no, let's not go to Rudy Giuliani. Let's go to the thing that just broadcast right before we started that I noticed. So Michael Cohen, don't you?
Sounds familiar.
The guy who wasn't Trump's lawyer but is Trump's lawyer.
He's he's a fixer. Also kind of a lawyer sometimes. His job title must be crazy.
Yeah, well, he's about to get into more trouble because Mueller's team has questioned a Russian oligarch about payments to Cohen. Right. Currently, hundreds of thousands of dollars were paid to Trump's lawyer.
Leave this Michael guy alone. He's had enough.
Yo, this man.
He's had enough.
Like, I know he rules the day when he said, I paid for the incident and I didn't get my money back.
It's like watching a flogging that just never ends. He's had enough. This guy is great.
And the funny thing is, a lot of these people like Cohen, even if they aren't eventually completely tied to this whole campaign issue, they're fucked themselves because if you're taking money as bribe money from an oligarch, all they had to do is just walk it a couple of steps in the other direction to find out, hey, what are you doing?
So I didn't get to. I know you actually sent me that article right before we started, but I forgot it was there. I haven't been reading it. This is long. Yeah, it's not that long. How much trouble can this one guy fucking be in?
I don't know. And I'm not taking a bullet for Trump. I'm sorry.
Right. But for real, bro, isn't there like a limit? Isn't there like a mercy rule? In like law.
That's the thing, no. Because remember, all the stuff that we're talking about, some of it has federal ties, but for the most part, any serious criminal action so far being brought against him is in the state of New York. So, what happens when the feds start to dig in? Are you going to Paul Manafort it and act like you're going to get out? Or are you going to do the wise thing?
This Paul Manafort guy.
Yo, that dude is walking around with 2 ankle bracelets and he just still doesn't give a fuck. Come on, man. I'm not trying to live that life. I'm not trying to serve more than 3 of my lives in prison. Come on. I mean, he's literally facing 3 like full 0 to 70 life of cycles if he goes to jail.
So I just think everybody at least thought about doing something kind of illegal. But these guys, man, they can't get enough of this shit.
And it's not like they're doing smart illegal stuff. It's like,
no, Cohen's really bad.
It's like you're fucking really horrible. Oh, it reminds me. Have you ever seen the movie Goodfellas?
Mm.
It reminds me of the near end scene where they're like finally about to catch Ray Liotta. He's like yelling at the babysitter, "Don't place a call on the phone. Like when you checking stuff. Leave the phone alone." What does she do? She picks up and dials the phone, knowing that the FBI is tapping them, and gives away the plan. It's like, what is wrong with you? Like, don't you understand the stakes are? Like, why are y'all doing it's
But Trump hires the best people.
Yeah. Best at fucking him. Speaking of the hiring best people, how do you think he feels about the Rudy Giuliani hiring right now? So, just
I don't know why he hired this motherfucker in the first place.
There was no fucking reason to hire him whatsoever. But for those who may not know, Rudy Giuliani is now a part of the legal team for Donald Trump.
That dude's the face. That dude's the John Cena of that legal team. Yeah,
pretty much. And their whole purpose is to keep the president from being impeached and getting into trouble for the Russia investigation. But apparently this dude doesn't know how to not get you in trouble. Because right off the bat, first interview, he comes out and he claims that there's no, campaign fraud or anything like that. Because I happen to know for a fact that Trump paid that money. Gave him the money. Trump paid for it. He was fine with that.
He said it's going to turn out not to be illegal. And I was like, bro, is this dude that's your lawyer? You need to get your mans, yo.
Right. Like,
that's your lawyer.
It may, it may nullify the whole he was paying money for a campaign purpose.
No, it doesn't.
And rolls it right into, but this is like, okay, say, for instance, we're all stupid. And that argument flies. Here's the problem. It doesn't help you with the civil case with Stormy Daniels because your whole narrative has been, I've never fucked her. I've never known her. I don't know what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. Right there in that one fell swoop, he just acknowledged Trump didn't know what this was for. Trump did fuck a porn star while he was married, while his wife was carrying his baby, and that Michael Cohen is an idiot for even getting involved in that in the first place.
Trump literally said on Air Force One he didn't know about this shit.
Yeah.
And your lawyer, bro, went on TV and said you did know and paid for it. Bruh.
Not only that, you saw the other interview that Giuliani did, right?
He's done a few at this point.
Yeah, did you see the one where he's like, yeah, I'm sure he's paid multiple women this money.
The fund, the slush fund, was it like $750K or something? This fund that Cohen has set up because he's a good lawyer or whatever to pay off people Trump probably fucks. Just in case. Like, I didn't understand, bruh. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to explain that instead of me because that idea is so fucking crazy. I just like fumbled all
he
over the
basically
words.
said that he believes that Trump has a fund that he set up and he's paid multiple women. He was like he doesn't see how you could think otherwise. He said he doesn't know for sure, but he's he truly believes that this has been something that's been going on for a while with several women. It's like, wait, you don't even know the information, but you're accusing him of things that we aren't even necessarily saying about him.
Well,
you're just like,
when we said you're Trump's lawyer, we meant like the defendant part. No, you're not prosecuting this motherfucker. What are you doing? Persecuting. Like, you're not on offense, bro. You're supposed to be defending this guy.
Right. It is kind of funny because I remember I sent you that John Oliver clip from gosh, what's the name of that show? Because it's
Last Week Tonight.
Yeah, Last Week Tonight. Because it's like, oh my god, it's like it's a cool name for being dumb. But yeah, he was talking about how like we all keep saying what happened to Mary Giuliani. This was 9/11 Mary, thing, and it's like, he's right because I remember the lead up to 9/11 where Giuliani had all these crazy fucking laws initiated in the state of New York, which basically put every person of color like in jeopardy of fucking being thrown in prison for like the wildest shit, or for justifying cops for shooting people and stuff like that. It's like he's always been a wild boy. It's like, why haven't we seen this before? I guess because with the presidency, it's on a national stage, maybe? I don't know.
I think it's just human nature. I don't remember who said it, but the quote that sticks out in my mind is something like, the best explanation for the good old days is a bad memory. I think that's kind of what's at play here. Like, yeah, you think he was this great guy because you just don't remember. I feel the same way with Kanye. Like, what happened to Kanye? What are you talking about? Nothing happened to Kanye. He's just Kanye. He's always been Kanye.
Yeah, he's always been a nut. And thing with Giuliani, like I was listening to that whole thing, and they were talking about the thing where he had the phone call, and he was talking about people and being belligerent, and again, pre 9/11, all the the New York lockdown of the police and all the crazy things they were doing during that period. It's like 9/11 happened, and he just became the most lovable character. And now everybody's shook because you pretty much you've captured that man's whole life with a moment in time, not the overall, resume. It's just like because he was the mayor during 9/11, he's America's mayor. I hate it when they said that shit. Like, seriously, America's mayor? Okay, whatever. But yeah, I just don't feel like I feel like you're right. People just seem to have blanked out his previous 20 years of chaos till this moment.
Sure. I missaid the quote. It's nothing is more responsible for the good old days than a bad memory. Just to fight with Adams, but this guy is an amazing lawyer. Yeah.
Would you hire him?
Right before I killed myself.
Because I'm really trying to figure out what is this defense? Like, what is this strategy? And
I think his strategy must be to just get out there and confuse everybody. I don't know what he's doing. Like it must just be to sow some kind of chaos. Like maybe if he can say enough crazy shit, we'll all just start questioning reality.
You know what? He's the reality stone. That's why he's the reality stone. Trump needed to add that to the mix. He could bend reality with him because Lord knows Giuliani likes to do that.
I almost want to shed a tear for Cohen because I know when he heard that shit on TV, he must be like, bruh, I've had enough, please. I can't take it anymore. That must have been Cohen's reaction when he heard this Giuliani dude talking on TV.
Yeah, he had to be like, for fuck's sake, please don't defend me.
I already have 200 lashes in my back, bro. I'm hurt. I'm tired.
He is. It is the equivalent of that slave that like got caught running, and then Gianni's the one while he's getting lashes back. You know, he took an extra piece of cornbread. like, oh really? Like, fuck, man. God damn it.
And plus, this argument that he made, where it was brief, but he said that it's going to turn out to not be illegal or whatever, to be perfectly legal, having paid off these women. What are you talking about? No, it's not. Like, even if you say that the money didn't come from the campaign funds or whatever, it's still illegal. You didn't report it, and it's seen as like an in-kind contribution to the campaign. That's a crime. That's a problem. You should not be admitting that that happened. It is not okay if it didn't come out, assuming it didn't come out of like the campaign funds or whatever. It's not just okay because that didn't happen. That's not the only problem at play here.
Yeah.
This guy is your lawyer, bro? Don't lawyers have to know the law?
That's the thing. You were an attorney. This isn't foreign shit to you. So why are you acting like you don't know how to like? I would really love to have seen some of his court case results. Cause I gotta say, if he was your defense lawyer, you were probably,
Bruh, if he was my defense lawyer, I'd be like, Your Honor, I'm done. I'm tapping out. There's no point in continuing this. I'm gonna quit before this dude gets me like double life sentences. I'm done. I'm guilty. Done. There's no point in continuing if this dude's your lawyer. He's only gonna put you deeper. Holy shit. Is he the one that said something like, you can't involve the president in all this legal shit because he's got shit to do?
Yeah, he said something similar to that. Like, you can't. It was something along the lines of how you can't sue a president or you can't attack him for such and such. It was very, very weird.
And very, very false. Of course, I don't know what the fuck he is talking about, as though Nixon wasn't president while they were going after him. As though Clinton didn't have to respond to his fucking problems. Like, you can't go after the president because they're busy being president. What? You had presidents during war that had to deal with shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, there's always... I just don't get it. I just really would love to know his like end game. Like, what is... Maybe, you know what? I hate to keep references in this movie. But perhaps he went and saw Infinity War. It was like, I'll be like Doctor Strange. The one person to see the one fucking thing, the one possibility.
I mean, that might have worked if he hadn't been like this before that movie came out.
True. So therefore, Marvel owes him some type of like creative rights because he came up with that strategy.
Bro, what is the internet's problem? Anyway.
What happened?
No, I just had Googled Rudy Giuliani just to see if there was any news lately, and like the image that comes up is like, it's like this weird yelling face. It's like, bruh, don't do that. I don't know who picks those images, but don't do that.
Yeah, I know. When they do the articles, the faces that they catch him and Trump in are ridiculous.
But I mean, Trump is different though. Like, any picture, I'm not trying to be a dick, but any picture of Trump is going to be a problem.
Yeah, he's not a photogenic person at all.
I don't know if all that hate and psychosis in his brain just fucks up his facial expressions, but come on, bro. But yeah, I don't know what his strategy is, and I think this just speaks to Trump more than anything, his idea of hiring the best people. Why did he even think of this guy? He saw him on TV or some shit. That guy reminds me of me. Fuck it, get him in here. Like,
well, I guess with the lawyer thing, though, it's that no one with a good reputation, no reputable company seems to want to work with him because he stiffs people on the bill. Imagine that. So this is all you got, bro. You got a former psycho mayor and a couple of other bottom basement people, like,
I mean, I feel like pretty much anybody would be better at this point. Like a dog, your literal dog is a better defense because at least you can be like, the dog looks cute, pet the dog, Anybody else, maybe not anybody. How do these people have the ability to practice law?
I don't know.
Again,
I feel like since he watches a lot of TV, he just saw one of those 1-800 numbers.
Bro, you should have your ability to practice law revoked just by saying shit like that on TV. Because they should just be like, you know what? You're too dangerous. We cannot, of good conscience, allow you to represent anybody because you're going to fuck them 20 feet underground. Sorry, but no. You're not practicing law anymore. You're done. That's it. There's to be some kind of consequences for this type of action, bro. Shit's crazy.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Where's the end game for this? Because shit. It's like, go back to Scaramucci. The guy, like in the things that he said, you probably shouldn't give her as much rope as him. You should try to be more quick on the trigger for that, because he came out as your press secretary guy saying all types of dumb shit. You can't him like that. You probably need to do the same thing with Giuliani.
That is a question I don't understand too. This, why he isn't fired already. I mean, it's just a rational decision because he's not even agreeing with you, bro. Like, he's not even in line with the shit that you said. So why is he still around? I mean, Trump's whole response was like, he's still learning the facts or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or still learning the case. I don't remember exactly what he said. Essentially, the argument is that Giuliani is new to the case and he's still learning the facts. Bruh, I feel like, did you fucking pay her? Is a pretty, like, first day fact that you should know.
Yeah, no. Like the vetting process, to me, I don't get it. But it's like you said about the Dr. Oz thing. It's just like this dude just sees people with a name and fuck. Goes with it.
He's still learning the facts. Giuliani said that shit too. Like, he's still learning the facts.
Yeah, he's like, I'm still learning the facts. But yeah, he did it. Like, wait. You don't know. You just said you don't know. But
why are you here talking if you don't know the facts?
I don't know anything about this, but I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Yeah.
This is your lawyer.
Yeah.
Hashtag best people. This fucking Dr. Oz guy. I don't understand that. He's a charlatan. This is the dude who was talking about.
He's not a complete charlatan. He was a cardio surgeon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's his face was a neurosurgeon. What the fuck is that?
Touche. Touche, sir. Touche.
And I think even letting them use that credibility is dangerous, because this is the same guy who was trying to sell us miracle pills back in the day. Well, I shouldn't say back in the day. I'm sure he still tries to sell shit like that, but he's a problem. He's a fucking problem in the medical community. He's just not legitimate, and he's always been a Trump-style salesman of bullshit medicine. I guess, given that, it is the perfect explanation to me for why Trump is attracted to this Oz guy, because he's the same fucking way. He over-exaggerates. He's full of lies and bullshit.
Yeah, and then somehow he maintains some type of success.
It is the idea that Trump would want Dr. Oz doesn't surprise me, but it's still fucking annoying. So we got Oz, Giuliani. Bro, this dream team is that Carson guy. Oh,
Huckabee Sanders.
brush.
Linda McMahon. We forget about her. It's a small position, but Linda McMahon is on his staff.
What is her position?
She's in charge of small business administration.
She's doing a good job. And what I mean by that is she's doing a good job shutting the fuck up.
Yeah, she's just existing.
Because she's just keeping her head low and going with it. Oh my fucking God, yo.
So where are we living?
Yeah. Cohen out there. Pruitt under constant. Why is Pruitt still around? Why can't you get rid of this guy?
Yeah, why is Pruitt still around? I just realized that. Like, no, this dude is like having a time, like, because there was recent news that said that he was picking places that he's never been with to fly to and hoping that there was some type of agenda, like either encouraging the president to seek something over there with them or.
Yeah, he's just making up random bullshit to go. This dude is blowing American money to live the high life, bro. Why? We caught him, didn't we? Why? This is why people don't have faith in Washington. Like, how is this motherfucker still around? He should be in prison, bro. You should be in prison. What the fuck? I'm sure, you know, I hope the system shall work as it works, but I can see why people lose some faith when you have this guy who has been exposed as being part of out of control fucking corruption. And he's not in handcuffs at all. He didn't even lose his job yet, bro.
I don't know what else to say. I really don't. It's
administrator of the EP. Bruh, our environment is on the line. And you can't even get this job.
Yo, that's even the more funnier thing. It's like this dude is burning mad fuel and putting like all that pollution in the air. Jet setting. What? You're jet setting and burning fuel, which means that you're not even doing conservation for natural resources, but you're also flying around adding toxins to the air with that shit. Like, oh man, his administration is lovely.
I'm surprised he didn't just go ahead and try to add Don Blankenship to the fucking dream team. Just fuck it. Just do it. He belongs. He belongs in that group. He does.
Any more depressing things to talk about? I'm sure there are. I'm trying to think about them. I will end this on a lighter note. So, for those of you who may have watched the Infinity War spoiler cast, you may have noted that I got brutally attacked mentally by a couple of jackasses who called themselves intervening on me playing God of War, which I haven't finished yet. But happy to say that I'm moving along and I will keep my promise by the end of the week.
I thought you said by Monday.
No.
I'm gonna go back and find that video. I don't remember what you said, but I remember
that shit myself. Because no, I said by the end of the week. I was mad enough to say Monday, but I caught myself. I'm sure. So
you say so, bro.
There will be a spoiler cast for that coming. So I can shut him and yours straight up.
I mean, I'm still not satisfied with it.
It's fine. We can go to Hellfine.
What I thought was you were going to finish it by this podcast. And I remember when you were messaging me over the weekend, I was like, he's not going to finish by Tuesday. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, no, because
never going to happen.
Nah, stuff came up. I would have loved to, but no, I think I'm pretty much 70% through the story.
I mean, you played it like a beast though. Like, you're not.
But that's the thing. I told y'all, don't give me a game with options and choices like that. Cause I will go fucking. I spent like a good Saturday. I know I spent a good 3 hours poking around the different towers, trying to find what I could find. The different islands in the Lake of the Nine and all that. I was just like going around and looking for like nooks and crannies and things like that. And it's like every time I would get a new tool, I would try to like look out for stuff that I might have to backtrack. I might be backtracking over that I couldn't do before. But it's like, hey, I'm here now. I can do this now. Like, so yeah, I told you. I warned you.
I mean, you must have played for like 10 hours. I remember you were messaging me throughout the day, and I was like remembering back through the game, and I'm like, bro. And like at the end of the night, I'm like, there's no way. Not at this.
Yeah, no, I literally wasted 10 hours. I wasted another 8 hours on Sunday. And I'm pretty sure the point where I'm at is not at the end. So give me a couple of days.
Okay. But
what's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to be like, you know what? I got to do this. And I'm just going to go the story route.
I mean, do what you got to do. But it's progress. So see, interventions work. I'm just saying.
Whatever. It will be done. I promise you. Anyway, I guess that's it for this show. I'm gonna go play God of War. I feel obligated to you. All right. So as always, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you for listening, watching, whatever you're doing with this show. Any parting words? Book of the week, maybe? Probably Infinity Gauntlet.
I didn't read it, but sure. Gonna put that one out there. The Infinity Gauntlet storyline. It's old as shit. I was just gonna say check out Strick's Twitch channel because he was doing like this. I don't remember what he called it, but this weird lesson thing yesterday on Adobe Lightroom. I think it was. It was cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's like a new thing he was doing, but I had a hard time because I was watching him and Wiza and Raw while also reading this paper on like Facebook's memcache system. So it was a lot of multitasking, but from what I saw, it seemed cool. So it seems like a cool Twitch channel. I never really watched it that much, but
if you're into anime, definitely check him out.
Yeah, check out Wiser shit too, bro. Like if you feel like
wrestling, check out
wrestling is gonna be not fun that day, you should just watch it with it. What was it? I think it was Backlash. I was watching on Wise's channel, and his chat is out of control, bro. Like they were sending in donations to make like the screen smaller, increasingly until somebody said, they put in this donation like, turn off the screen, bro. And then somebody else threw in a donation like, turn off the English commentary, make it Hindu. Like, his chat is just full of heels, bro. These people were paying money to make that.
That is amazing that you would do that, because I'm not paying money to fuck with you.
Those guys are grade A dicks, bro.
I guess. Also, Fortnite has the Infinity Gauntlet in it. Weird.
I've never played it, so I don't know if that like fits into their general type of themes and stuff.
From what I heard, it just is ridiculous. Because there's certain things in the game, like you can get shield potions to build a shield for your thing and health things. And essentially, the gauntlet behaves like the one in the movie where if you're hurting, it'll fill your health back up. If you need shields, it'll fill your shields back up. Very OP piece of technology in that game. That game still amazes me how much of a juggernaut it is.
The fucking memes are out of control. Yo. Like I saw a Jimmy Neutron Infinity War theme meme where like, what's his name? The fat dude. He goes like, I don't feel so good, and then he turns around and like disappears. I'm like, bro, why would you do that? People are out of control with that meme.
Yeah, they are. The fadeaway thing. What was that I was looking at today with the fadeaway thing?
I still think about that John Cena one, bro.
The John
was
Cena fading.
inappropriate, bro. It was not okay.
Sacrifices had to be made, and he made it.
You can't trust the fucking internet, but it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it is. It's kooky as it is. I still love the internet. But yeah, I guess that's gonna do it. I'm gonna go play video games. So with that, you guys take care. Again, thank you for watching. Appreciate you. Feel free to tweet us all of our information in the bottom. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to make some. Also, look out for that spoiler cast. That is happening this week. God damn it. I'm going to make it happen, even if I have to sit up until, like, I'm actually off this weekend too, so I can actually play to my heart's content. Just run through it.
If you're not playing that game, you play that game, bro. That's the only way to prove to me that you love yourself is to play that game. If you guys haven't, that shit is amazing. Oh my god. Bro.
Yeah.
Shit is so good.
Yeah, let me go see how Boy's going to piss me the fuck off again. Yeah,
all right.
Boy. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good evening. We'll see you next time on The Reason Reborn.
Jesus.